Right, good evening. So we are going to talk about commercial law, particularly on corporation code and FIA. So let's start. So first, what is a corporation? A corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law, having the right of succession and the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. That's under Section 2 of the RCC or RA 11232. So what is the nature and attributes of a corporation? So first, as defined, it is an artificial being. Therefore, it has a separate and distinct juridical personality. Second, it is created by operation of law, such as the Revised Corporation Code for private corporations, but for what do we call this? Public corporations such as GOCCs, they are created by a special law or their charter. Okay. Third attribute is that it has the right of succession. So currently, uh, corporations have the right to perpetual existence unless it is limited by their articles of incorporation. And fourth, their powers is limited to what is granted by law or implied to its existence. What is an artificial being? So a corporation exists apart from its shareholders. So it is separate and distinct apart. Yan. So it has its own sets of rights and obligations provided for by law. It may own properties, exercise rights, incur obligations independently of the persons comprising it. So generally, a corporation may sue or may be sued, and if it sued or if it sues, no, it can have exemplary damages, nominal damages, actual damages. No, it can be granted by the court. However, as a general rule, it cannot be granted moral damages. Why? Because it cannot feel or suffer physical suffering or mental anguish. Because nga, a corporation is not a natural person. Unlike us, persons, we are natural persons. We feel mental anguish. We suffer physical sufferings. No, a corporation cannot. So generally, they cannot be granted moral damages. However, there is an exception, and the exemption is they may claim moral damages if their goodwill or their good reputation is besmirched or tarnished. Now, the second attribute is that it is created by operation of law. So a corporation is a creation and is purely dependent on the state's will, and the corporation is a creation of a statute that defines its powers and prescribes its rules for the regulation of its internal as well as its business affairs. So as such, the mere consent of the parties the mere consent of the parties to form a corporation is not sufficient because they need to register to the SEC. Therefore, the state must give its consent either through a special law in case of GOCCs, that's the charter, uh, and uh, a general law for private corporations. And the general law that is said a while ago is the RCC. Okay, next, it has the right of succession. So perpetual succession is that it continues its existence, which enables a corporation to manage its affairs, hold property without the necessity of perpetual conveyances for purposes of transmitting it. So by reason of this quality, this ideal and artificial person remains in its legal entity and personality the same, though frequent changes may be made of its members. So ibig sabihin lang yan, kahit na nagkakaroon tayo ng changes sa members, sa officers, sa stockholders ng isang korporasyon, ang korporasyon ay nananatiling nandiyan. No? This does not strictly refer to succession, which is one of the modes of acquiring ownership, but we have to distinguish it uh, uh, from pala the modes of ownership, which is succession. This is not what it talks about, no? This simply means that the continued existence of a corporation is not affected by the change of its members or stockholders or by the transfer of shares by the stockholder to a third person. Next, it has only the powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence. A corporation can only exercise powers conferred by it by law, by its articles of incorporations, and those implied from the conferred powers, and those incidental to its existence, meaning it only has a limited capacity. And so we have to note that there is also a doctrine of ultra vires act. So this is any act beyond the powers and attributes what of what is authorized or what is granted to the corporation by law. Next, the tests to determine corporate nationality. So first is the incorporation test. So this is the easiest, no? The place of incorporation determines the nationality of the corporation. So, if the private corporation registered in the Philippines under the SEC, then it is a Filipino corporation. Another is the control test. So, it is required that more than 60% is owned by Filipinos to be to be distinguished or to be qualified as a Filipino corporation. We also have the grandfather rule. So this is applied when the ownership structure is so ambiguous, no? Na, for example, a corporation registered with SEC is composed of natural persons and corporations. So the corporations, no, if it will not if it passed, no, the control test, but there is doubt as to the Philippine ownership, no, in order not to violate the constitution, the 60-40 rule, no, we use the grandfather rule to look into the ownership of the corporation who is also a stockholder of the newly registered corporation. Yan. So this is used for constitutional and statutory compliance because nga, our constitution provides that uh, ownership of corporations special and also land ownerships must belong to Filipinos. The doctrine of separate juridical personality. So a private corporation organized under this code, the RCC, commences its corporate existence and juridical personality from the date the commission issues the certificate of incorporation. So from the time that the COI is issued by the SEC. So a corporation has a legal personality separate and distinct from that of the people comprising it. Juridical persons may acquire and possess property of all kinds as well as incur obligations and bring civil and criminal actions in conformity with the laws and regulations of their organization. So we also have this doctrine of piercing the corporate veil. So in piercing the veil of the corporate fiction, it is a equitable remedy, ayan, equitable remedy, in which it is resorted to only in cases where the corporation is used or being used in three instances. One, to defeat public convenience, as when the corporate fiction is used as a vehicle for the evasion of an existing obligation. Two, in fraud cases, or when the corporate entity is used to justify a wrong, protect a fraud, or defend a crime. And third, in alter ego cases, where the corporation is merely a farce, since it is a mere alter ego or business conduit of a person, or where the corporation is so organized and controlled and its affairs are so conducted as to make merely an instrument agency conduit or adjunct of another corporation, meaning in alter ego cases here, um, the other corporation has no mind of its own, no? The other corporation controls it. So that corporation is merely a farce. Yan. So if either of these three instances are present, the doctrine of piercing the corporate veil can be availed of. Next is the trust fund doctrine. So the trust fund doctrine states that the capital stock, properties, and other assets of a corporation are regarded as equity in trust for the payment of corporate creditors. So all the funds received by the corporation in payment of the shares of stocks shall be held in trust for the corporate creditors and other stockholders of the corporation. So generally, um, di ba, stock corporations can has a capital stock and can distribute dividends to its shareholders. No, so that dividend, sorry, that's a typo. That should be D. Ayan. That there should be no dividend distribution if there is no unrestricted retained earnings, except if there is a reduction of capital, but should in no way waive the payment of unpaid subscription, or when the corporation is redeeming its redeemable shares, which we will talk about later on, and upon dissolution. Kinds of corporations. No, we have stock corporation. No, those corporations with a capital stock and its dividends is there is dividends that is distributed to its stockholders. So the term for board members is 1 year. And so non-stock, we have these are formed for non-profit purposes and there is no dividend distribution. And the term for its trustees is 3 years. So sa stock corporation, ang tawag sa board nila, board of directors. Sa non-stock naman, ang tawag sa board nila is board of trustees. And we also have closed corporations. No? So this corporation only has less than or equal to 20 shareholders with transfer restrictions. So it should not be listed in any stock exchange nor in public offerings of shares. We also have religious and educational corporations. So this is governed by some specific provisions of law. No? If religious, merong corporate soul, merong religious societies. If educational, it is non-stock. If it is, it can be non-stock or stock, no? If it is non-stock, it must have 5 to 15 trustees and they can hold office for 5 years, but it must be in multiples of 5. And then kung stock siya, edi it will follow the stock corporation rules. And the new innovation in the revised corporation code is the one-person corporation. So there is only one stockholder who must be a natural person or trust or an estate. So only one person can create a corporation, and that is called one-person corporation. So for ordinary corporations, we have at least two incorporators. So next, incorporation and organization. So for the number and qualifications of incorporators, they must not be more than 15 in number. A corporation with a single stockholder is called a one-person corporation, as stated a while ago. Okay? Incorporators are those stockholders or members mentioned in the articles of incorporation originally forming and composing the corporation and who are signatories thereof. So you have to take note that practicing professionals, okay, lawyers, doctors, yan, shall not be allowed to organize as a corporation. The qualifications of incorporators are: 1. They should be natural person, should be of legal age. Each incorporator of a stock corporation must own or be a subscriber to at least one share of the capital stock, and in case of non-stock corporation, each must be a member of the corporation. Second, for capitalization, the stock corporation shall not be required to have a minimum capital stock except as otherwise specifically provided by a special law. Example for banks. The corporate term is that the general rule, corporation shall have a perpetual existence unless the articles of incorporation provides otherwise. So before the RCC, corporations who have a certificate of incorporation issued by the SEC um, and which continue to exist shall have automatically a perpetual existence. Yun. unless the corporation, upon a vote of its stockholders representing majority of its outstanding capital stock, notifies the SEC that it elects to retain its specific corporate term pursuant to its articles of incorporation. So all corporations that are existing and are issued with a certificate of incorporation prior to the revised corporation code will automatically have a perpetual existence, except if they have a resolution having a resolution having a vote of its stockholders representing majority of its OCS to retain yung specific corporate term under their articles of incorporation. So if they retain their original term, corporate term, and they want to extend, it can be made only not earlier than 3 years prior to the original or subsequent expiry date, unless there is a justifiable reason for an earlier extension as may be determined by the SEC. Now, what if an existing corporation with a certificate of incorporation before the effectivity of the revised corporation code would want to avail the perpetual existence? Do they need to amend their articles of incorporation? No need. No need to amend the articles of incorporation. It is automatic. Next, the classification of shares. So we have common shares. So these are default type shares with full voting rights and residual ownership. Now, preferred rights. These are shares that has preferences, either in priority in dividends or in assets, and may not may be non-voting. So preferred shares may be voting, as long as it is stated in the articles of incorporation, in their bylaws. And founder shares, so these are special shares that may have an exclusive voting rights for up to 5 years. Redeemable shares may be purchased. These are shares that may be repurchased by a corporation under agreed terms. And treasury shares are those shares that was previously issued by the corporation and reacquired by the corporation, which can be reissued. Articles of incorporation, corporate name, and existence. So, articles of incorporation must state the name of the corporation, which must be distinguishable from any other corporation. It must state its primary purpose and secondary purposes, its place of business or office, its term, or if they will avail perpetual existence, and the incorporators and the like. Stock corporations must indicate the capital structure and original subscribers. The corporate name must be distinguishable, lawful, and not contrary to existing trademarks and regulations. The commencement of corporate existence starts upon the issuance of the certificate of incorporation by SEC, except incorporation sole, because it becomes juridical upon its filing, even without the SEC certificate issuance. Corporate bylaws. So the bylaws govern the internal corporate operations, such as the meetings, the elections, the qualifications of its board members or uh, mm, board of directors, board of trustees, and the like. So its contents may include the notice for procedures, the quorum requirements, proxy forms, officer duties. The adaptation of a corporate bylaws requires the majority vote of the outstanding capital stocks or members of a stock corporation. It may include the penalties also for violation and governance mechanisms such as anti-graft measures, the like. So it must be kept in the principal office and open for inspection during business hours. So corporate officers, we have the president, who must be a director, a treasurer, who must be a resident of the Philippines, and the secretary, who must be a citizen. Okay. Note that if the corporation is vested with public interest, the board shall also elect a compliance officer. Okay. The same person may hold two or more positions concurrently, except that no one shall act as a president and a secretary, or president and treasurer at the same time, unless otherwise allowed by this code. So we also have a de facto corporation. So a de facto corporation exists when there is a valid law under which the corporation may be incorporated. So a de facto corporation has a certificate of incorporation is issued by the SEC. No? Two, there is an attempt in good faith to incorporate. And three, there is an assumption of corporate powers. So the due incorporation of any corporation claiming in good faith to be a corporation and its right to exercise corporate powers shall not be inquired into collaterally in any private suit to which such corporation may be a party, because it can only be inquired by the Solicitor General in a quo warranto proceeding. So a de facto corporation has a certificate of incorporation issued by the SEC. And then it attempted in good faith to incorporate, and there is an assumption of corporate powers. So a de facto corporation is a corporation with a certificate of incorporation issued by the SEC, but it is a de facto corporation because there are defects on its requirements. Corporation by estoppel. So these are so those which are so defectively formed as not to either be de jure or de facto corporations, but which are considered as corporations in relation only to those who cannot deny their corporate existence due to their agreement, admission, or conduct. So all persons who assume to act as a corporation, knowing it to be without authority to do so, shall be liable as general partners for all debts, liabilities, and damages incurred or arising as a result thereof. Provided, however, that when any such ostensible corporation is sued on any transaction entered by it as a corporation, or on any other tort committed by it as such, it shall not be allowed to use its lack of corporate personality as a defense. So, directors, trustees, and officers. So, what are the qualifications to be a director, a trustee, and an officer of a corporate or of a corporation? So, first, must be of legal age. In stock corporation, the director must own at least one share of stock. In non-stock corporation, the trustee must be a member. And he must not possess any of these qualifications, which we will discuss later on. He must possess such other qualifications as may be prescribed by law or in the bylaws. Because the corporation can add more qualifications in their bylaws. And so, what are the disqualifications? So, a person shall be disqualified from being a director, trustee, or officer of any corporation if within 5 years prior to the election or appointment as such, the person was convicted by final judgment of an offense punishable of imprisonment for a period exceeding 6 years for a violation of RCC, violation of SRC, or found administratively liable for any offense involving fraudulent acts or moral turpitude, or by a foreign court, equivalent foreign regulatory authority for similar acts, violations, or misconduct. So the foregoing is without prejudice to qualifications and other disqualifications which the Commission, the primary regulatory agency, or the PCC, the Philippine Competition Commission, may impose in its promotion of good corporate governance or as a sanction in its administrative proceeding. We also have independent directors, so we have to memorize this. And what is an independent director? An independent director is a person who, apart from the shareholdings and fees received from the corporation, is independent of management and free from any business or other relationship which could or could reasonably be perceived to materially interfere with the exercise of independent judgment in carrying out the responsibilities as a director. So, corporations, saan ba yan kailangan? Corporations with public interest shall have independent directors that comprise at least 20% of the board. So, let's go to term, holdover, and removal. So, sa term, directors, sa stock, 1 year. Sa trustees, in non-stock, 3 years. Holdover, so, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, each director and trustee shall hold their office until a successor is elected and qualified. A director who ceases to own at least 1 share or of stock, or a trustee who ceases to be a member of the corporation shall also cease to be such, because that is a requirement to be a director or a trustee. For removal, there are 2 modes of removal of a director or trustee. So, one by a vote of its stockholders, holding or representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stocks or 2/3 of the members. Or by sec motu proprio, or by its own initiative, or upon a verified complaint after due notice and hearing. So, a director or trustee who was representing the minority must be removed only for cause provided by the RCC or the bylaws, but a director or trustee who was representing majority may be removed with or without cause. So, in case of vacancy, other than by removal or expiration, may be filled by a majority of the remaining directors if quorum exists. So, if there is no quorum, the stockholders or members must elect in a regular or special meeting. The election due to term expiration, if expiration, must be held on the day of its expiration. If due to removal, election must be held on the same day if stated in the notice. If the replacement, note that the replacement serves only the unexpired term of his predecessor. So, emergency board may also act if the quorum is lost or there is an urgent action for the corporation, and where they will get that emergency board member from their officers. Okay, so the voting requirements. So there are 3 modes of uh, voting in a corporation. First, we have the straight voting. No? A stockholder may vote his number of shares for as many persons as there are directors to be elected. Second, cumulative voting. So a stockholder may cumulate his shares and give one candidate as many votes as the number of directors to be elected multiplied by the number of shares. So, in cumulative, it usually happens in the minority group of the corporation. So, in order to make sure that they will have a seat in the board of director, the minority shareholders will put all their votes to one candidate who is also a member of the minority group. Yun, that's cumulative voting. We also have cumulative voting by distribution. Here, a stockholder may distribute his total votes among as many candidates as he sees fit. So, how to count the votes they have? The total number of votes cast shall not exceed the number of shares owned by the stockholder as shown in the books of a corporation times the whole number of directors to be elected. So, if you have 10 shares, 10 shares lang mayroon ka, and you will have to elect uh, 5 directors. So, 10 times 5, you have 50 voting rights. Yon. So, members of a non-stock corporation may cast as many votes as there are trustees to be elected, but may not cast more than 1 vote for one candidate. Isa-isa lang. Okay, so doctrine of corporate opportunity and the duties of the corporation. So, directors are uh, has the duty of obedience, loyalty, and diligence. To memorize, old, di ba? Obedience, loyalty, and diligence. Yeah. So, they must prioritize corporate interest over their personal gain. A corporate opportunity doctrine bars exploitation of corporate prospects And liability attaches for bad faith, gross negligence, or illegal acts. So, nakalimutan ko. So, sa doctrine of corporate uh, opportunity, if there is a business that is for the corporation and you are a member or a director, no, of the corporation, you must not get that business, no, because you have to um, be loyal, no, be obedient, no, uh, for to the corporation where you are a member or a director, no, na hindi mo pwedeng agawin yung business na dapat para sa corporation if you are director or a member of or stakeholder of the corporation. So that's the doctrine of corporate opportunity. Okay. And if you do that, no, inagaw mo, ayan, you must account the proceeds of that business to the corporation. So, wala din. So, ibigay mo na lang. Okay. So, next, the doctrine of centralized management. So, generally, unless otherwise provided by the RCC, the board of directors or trustees shall exercise corporate powers. We have to highlight this. Corporate powers, conduct all business, and control all properties of the corporation. It is well established in the corporation law that a corporation can act only through its board of directors in case of stock corporation and board of trustees in case of non-stock corporation. Because remember, corporations is not a natural person. It is only granted a juridical personality. But how will it act? No? How will it sign checks, sign contracts, diba? It is through natural persons. And who are those persons who will manage the corporation? It is the directors. And so that's the doctrine of centralized management. So exception, in case of an executive committee duly authorized in the bylaws, or there is a contracted manager, which may be an individual, a partnership, or another corporation. In case of course, closed corporations, because the stockholders in closed corporations manage the business of the corporation rather than by a board. No? But if the articles of incorporation so provide. Next is the business judgment rule. So generally, questions of policy or management are left solely to the honest decision of officers and directors of a corporation, and we have to take note of this. The courts are without authority to substitute their judgment for the judgment of the board of directors, but there is always an exception. So if the contracts are so unconscionable and oppressive as to amount to wanton destruction of the rights of the minority, or if they violate their duties under Section 30, where the director willfully and knowingly assents to a patently unlawful act of the corporation, or are guilty of gross negligence or bad faith. And third, if they violate Section 33 of the RCC, where there is disloyalty of a director who acquires for himself a business opportunity that should have belonged to the corporation unless his act is ratified by a two-thirds vote of the stockholders. So, yun yung doctrine of corporate opportunity. Now, we have also this doctrine of apparent authority. So, this doctrine of apparent authority provides that a corporation will be stopped from denying the agent's authority if it knowingly permits one of its officers or any other agent to act within the scope of an apparent authority, and it holds him up to the public as possessing the power to do those acts. So if you advertise, no, that this person is a director of your corporation and he may act on the behalf of the corporation, no, and you can no longer, or you are stopped from denying that agent's authority. Yan. So the doctrine of apparent authority does not apply if the principal did not commit any acts or conduct which a third party knew and relied upon in good faith as a result of an exercise of reasonable prudence. So moreover, the agent's acts or conduct must have produced a change of position to the third party's detriment. The doctrine of ratification or estoppel. So ratification is a voluntary and deliberate confirmation or adoption of a previous unauthorized act. So what is the effect if an act is ratified? So it converts the unauthorized act of the agent into an act of the principal. It cures the lack of consent at the time of the execution of the contract entered into by the representative, making the contract valid and enforceable. So in essence, the consent belatedly given through express or implied acts that are deemed a confirmation or waiver of the right to impugn the unauthorized acts. So it retroacts them, no? So ratification is the act of placing the principal in a position as if he signed the original contract. So uh, the ratification of corporation of an unauthorized act or contract by its officers or others relates back. Ayun, sabi ko kanina, it retroacts, diba? It relates back to the time of the act or contract ratified and is equivalent to original authority. So the adoption or ratification of a contract by a corporation is nothing more nor less than making of an original contract. So the theory of corporate ratification is predicated on the right of the corporation to conduct, and any ratification or adoption is equivalent to grant of prior authority. So now what are the powers of the corporation? So corporations possess powers expressly conferred by law, its articles of incorporation, or those implied therefrom. So what are the general powers? It includes not to sue and be sued, perpetual succession, use of corporate seal, acquire, sell, lease, enter into contracts, issue stocks, make donations, establish pension or retirement plans for its employees. They also have specific powers such as extend and shorten their term, increase or decrease capital, issue bonds, and deny preemptive rights, sell major assets, invest in other ventures. Yeah. So, implied and incidental corporate powers. So, incidental powers are those essential to the exercise of its express powers. So, example, you are a corporation, you need employees, no? So, you will need to hire employees, open bank accounts to, to keep your profits, and marketing operations, and implied powers inferred from the express powers of a corporate powers. So corporations must act within the bounds of their articles of incorporation and bylaws. So if it not if it is not expressed, implied, or incidental, then that act is ultra vires. So, what is an ultra vires doctrine? So, these are acts beyond the corporate powers granted by the law or its articles of incorporation. So, there are types, no, beyond the powers, no, of the RCC or the articles of incorporation, or those acts by officers without authority, and the acts that are illegal, which are contrary to law or public policy or public morals. So the consequences of ultra vires is that it is void or unenforceable unless it is ratified and thereby cured. So exception, it may be valid if not prejudicial to third parties or if estoppel applies. Now let's go to stockholders and members. So stockholders has rights and powers too. So what are these? Stockholders are, since they are the owners of shares in a stock corporation, they have the right to vote. They have the right to dividends if declared. They have the right to inspect the corporate books and records within a reasonable time. Appraisal right in case they do not agree, no, sa decisions of the board. Preemptive right, yan, in maintaining their proportional share, they have the right to uh, uh, buy newly issued shares. Yan. So they may file derivative suits also on behalf of the corporation to protect the interest of the corporation. So members of non-stock corporation, so members compose a non-stock corporation. Ayan, members ang tawag sa kanila. And their right includes voting, syempre, receiving notices of meetings, access corporate books, enjoyment of privileges or benefits, bylaws, per bylaws or purpose, Uh, Yun lang, wala silang dividends unlike in stock corporations. And they can be removed with cause only and with due process. Yeah. So, meetings and voting rights. So, regular meetings must be held annually as fixed in their bylaws. Special meetings can be called with proper notice, typically for urgent matters. And so quorum, it must be stated in their bylaws. And so stock corporation, majority of outstanding capital stock. In non-stock, majority of actual members. So notice requirement, it must be written at least 21 days prior of the date of the meeting unless it is waived. They are allowed. This is an innovation in the revised corporation code, the remote communication and in absentia voting. No, now expressly allowed. Ayan. So, ngayon, pwede nang mag-vote or makimeeting in absentia ang ating mga board members, board of trustees. Yan. The doctrine of equality of shares. The doctrine of equality of shares states that all stocks issued by the corporation are presumed equal with the same privileges and liabilities provided that the articles of incorporation is silent on such differences. So, kung walang sinasabi na ito ang share mo sa articles of incorporation or the bylaws, no, it is presumed that you have equal rights uh, in the shares. Yan. Next. The participation in management. Right din to ng stockholders or members to exercise control. Ayan. Either directly or indirectly. Ayan. Through voting at meetings. So, key decisions requiring participation, election of directors, amendment of articles and bylaws, sale of substantially all or all of its corporate assets, mergers and consolidation, increase or decrease of capital stock, increase and decrease of its bonded indebtedness, ayan, amendment, adoption of bylaws, ayan, sale, tapos increase in capital stock, increase in bonded indebtedness, uh, merger consolidation, uh, dissolution. Ayan. So, yung mga in-enumerate ko na yun ay even non-voting shares can vote. No? Kahit wala silang uh, voting rights for those that I enumerated, the uh, non-voting shareholders can vote on that particular matters because those are acts of strict dominion. So, nakuha ba? Hindi kasi kompleto dito eh. Sulat natin. Ang aking code ay SIMID. SIMID. Ayan. So, amendment of articles of incorporation, adoption of bylaws, sale, lease, exchange, mortgage, pledge, or other disposition of a corporate property, increase or decrease of authorized capital stocks, increase of bonded indebtedness, merger and consolidation, investments in another corporation, and dissolution. Okay. And voting requirements. So, ordinary corporate acts, majority vote of the directors or trustees, yung ordinary lang. And fundamental changes, merger consolidation, and two-thirds votes of outstanding capital stock. Amendment of articles of incorporation, majority of the board plus two-thirds ng stockholder or members. Election of directors, plurality of vote governs. And sale of all or substantially all of the assets, board majority plus two-thirds. And quorum rules and board, majority of directors or trustees are fixed in the articles. Yan. So, sa board, yung quorum nila nakalagay yan sa articles. Sa stockholders or members, the majority of the outstanding shares or the actual members. So, shares ang bilangan. Okay. The stockholders also have proprietary rights. So they have the right to dividends. And so what is a dividend? That is a portion of the profits of the corporation set aside, declared and ordered by the directors to be paid ratably to the stockholders on demand or at a fixed time. So sabi dyan, declared and ordered by the directors because dividend is not a right, no? Right ba? It depends on the judgment of the directors if they will declare dividends. And so they cannot be compelled, no, to release dividends. So because it is plainly on the sole discretion of the directors. So dividend is a payment to the stockholders as a return of their investment. And so ayan sa pala, discretion of the board to declare dividends. So generally, the board of directors of a stock corporation may declare dividends out of the unrestricted retained earnings to all stockholders on the basis of outstanding stock held by them, except if the stock corporation are prohibited from retaining surplus profits in excess of 100% of their paid-in capital stock. Okay, proprietary rights pa rin. Irrevocability of declaration of dividends. So, hindi mo na pwedeng bawiin pag sinabi mo mag-declare ka na ng dividends. Generally. Ayan. Kasi nga, pag nag-declare na si board, it becomes a debt owing to the shareholders and no revocation can be made. Except, may exception yan. No, dividends are revocable if it is not yet announced or communicated to the stockholders. Stock dividends, even if already declared, may be revoked prior to the actual issuance since these are not distributions but merely representations of changes in the capital structure. Such declaration is essentially within the business judgment of the board of directors. The fact that profits have accrued in the prosecution of the corporate business does not necessarily impose upon the directors the duty to declare them as dividends. Kasi nga, it is a business judgment solely on the judgment of the directors. Solely based. And another proprietary right, unrestricted retained earnings. Ano ba yung mga yan? The board of directors of a stock corporation may declare dividends of retained unrestricted retained earnings, yung URE. So, pag may URE, pangit naman. So, pag may URE, saka lang pwedeng mag-declare ng dividends. Yan. Okay. 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 Nalito na. Okay, so preemptive right of stockholders. No? So these are the right of existing stockholders to subscribe to new shares in proportion to their current shareholdings before the corporation offers them to a third party. So, syempre, yung meron kang new shares, no? I-offer mo muna yan sa iyong existing stockholders para naman hindi mabawasan ang kanilang existing or current shareholdings. Ayan. So, pag nag-decline sila, o di saka mo i-share ay ibenta sa iba. So, this is to protect the shareholders from dilution of ownership and voting power. So, limitation, available lang yan sa stockholders of the stock corporation. It may also be denied or limited by the articles of incorporation. And it does not apply with the shares issued in compliance with laws or regulatory requirements or shares issued in exchange of property needed for corporate business, treasury shares, or reclassified or redeemed shares. So syempre kung ikaw naman ang bibili, no, it must be exercised, or if you will exercise this preemptive right, it should be within the period stated in the subscription offer. And your failure is deemed a waiver. So next, appraisal right of stockholders. So the right of a dissenting stockholder. So dito, ang appraisal lang kapag nag-dissent ka. Ayaw mo yung ginagawa ng board. And so the right of a dissenting stockholder to demand payment of the fair value of his share when they disagree with certain corporate actions. So its purpose is to protect the minority stockholders from actions that may adversely affect their investments. So when is it available? Amendment to the Articles of Incorporation. It prejudices the rights of the stockholders. So pwede kang mag-avail ng appraisal right. Bawiin mo na. Sale or disposition of assets. Merger, consolidation, investment to another corporation, extension or shortening of term. No? So, pwede kang mag-avail ng appraisal right. So, the procedure, the stockholder must dissent and vote against the corporate action. If you voted for the corporate action, you cannot exercise appraisal right. No? So, you must be a dissenting stockholder. There must be a written demand for payment within 30 days from the vote. And you have to deposit the certificates. Yan. The fair market value is determined as of the day prior to the vote. Yan. So the effect, if it is granted, the stockholder becomes entitled to the payment, but not dividends or voting. And if the demand is withdrawn or the action is abandoned, the rights are also restored. Derivative suit, no, ito naman is a suit filed by the stockholder. Remember, it is filed by the stockholder on behalf of the corporation to enforce a corporate right or redress a corporate wrong when the corporation itself refuses to act. So who may file? Stockholder or member in good standing. The requisite is that the plaintiff is a stockholder at the time of the act complained of. The act or omission must be injurious to the corporation, and the demand made to the board and there was a demand made to the board and he was refused or ignored, and there is no collision or improper purpose. So, example, there is an action against the directors for breach of fiduciary duty, or you are challenging the ultra vires acts or mismanagement of the board of directors. No? So, at its effect, relief the benefits, relief benefits the relief benefits the corporation and not the individual plaintiff. So, you are suing or you are mm, availing the derivative suit, or you are filing a derivative suit on behalf of the corporation and not because of your personal um, ano ba tawag doon? Personal preferences. Okay. Intra-corporate suit. So, ito naman, a suit involving disputes among stockholders, members, directors, trustees, or officers arising from a corporate relationship. So the governing rule is that it falls under the jurisdiction of regional trial courts, a special commercial court assigned therein under the interim rules of intracorporate controversy. So example, there is an election dispute, the dispute on stockholder rights and board actions, removal or appointment of corporate officers, inspection rights or dividend disputes. Yan. So anong inabil nito sa derivative suit? So sa derivative suit kasi, it enforces a corporation or a corporate right for the benefit of the corporation. Si intra-corporate suit, it resolves internal disputes among stakeholders. So, si intra-corporate, yung nag-aaway-away kasi mga stockholders and members, directors, trustees, officers, ayan. So, intra-corporate yon. Pero derivative suit is you are enforcing a right of the corporation. Delinquency in stock subscriptions. Ayun. So, a stockholder becomes delinquent when they fail to pay subscription or any unpaid portion as required by the corporation. So, it arises upon default in payment and notice and call must be made by the board if no fixed date is set. Yan. Kasi default ka kapag may call na or the due date is already fixed and already expired. Yan. So, consequences of delinquency, stockholder, hindi ka pwedeng bumoto, you're not entitled to dividends, tapos yung shares mo, pwede pang ibenta sa iba at a public auction. Yan. Yan. Certificate of stock, ito ay written instrument signed by the proper officer of the corporation stating and acknowledging that the person named therein is the owner of designated number of shares of stock. So the shares of stock so issued are personal property and may be transferred by delivery of the certificate or certificates endorsed by the owner. Yan. The certificate, but we have to take note of this, the certificate is not the stock in the corporation, but merely an evidence of the holder's interest and status in the corporation, his ownership of the share represented thereby, but is not in law the equivalent of such ownership. Mergers, consolidations, and acquisitions. So, asset only transfer, ito yung if the purchaser is only interested in the raw assets and the properties of the business. So, the purchaser is not interested in the goodwill. Yung pangalan, kunyari Jollibee, wala siyang pakialam doon. Ang gusto nila yung assets and the properties of the business. Ayan. Pag business enterprise transfer naman, the transferor and the transferee may enter into a contractual stipulation stating that the transferee shall not be liable for any or all debts arising from the business which were contracted prior to the time of the transfer. But such stipulations are valid as to the transferor and the transferee only. So these stipulations are not binding on the creditors of the business enterprise who can still go after the transferee for the enforcement of the liabilities. Kasi pag business to enterprise transfer, yung buong business ang kinuha mo. Yung goodwill, yung badwill, goodwill, good reputation, yung bad reputation, kasali yan. The assets, the properties, ayan. Tapos pwede kayong yung binilhan mo, tsaka ikaw na bumili, pwede kayong mag-agree na uh, I as the buyer of the business enterprise will not be liable for previous debts, previous liabilities. Ayan. Pero sa inyo lang yun applicable. Yung creditors nung binili mong corporation will still have a right to go after me na bumili nung business enterprise. Yun. So, merger, ang tatandaan na lang dyan, para hindi na naman to. Yung merger, A plus B equals, sorry, A plus B equals B, ayan, or A, B or A, o sige na nga, yan ang merger. Ayan. Pag consolidation naman, A plus B equals C, ayan. Yan. So, pag merger, and sabi niya, union of two or more corporations where one survives and the other cease to exist. The surviving corporation absorbs the assets and liabilities of the absorbed entity. In consolidation naman, union where two or more corporations form a new corporation and the original entity cease to exist. New, ito, absorbs. Ayan. Pero, ayun, kaya nga C, kasi new juridical entity na ang na-create. And ang acquisition naman is, one corporation acquires control of another by purchasing shares or assets. So, no corporate union or change in juridical personality. Binili mo lang. Parang ano lang yan. Si Jollibee, binili si Red Ribbon. Hindi naman nawala, nag-cease to exist si Red Ribbon. Andyan pa rin. Yun. So, corporate dissolution, the termination of a corporate existence through legal processes. So, ano yung modes of dissolution? Voluntary, involuntary. Voluntary, with or without creditors, pwede. It requires majority vote of the board and 2/3 vote of the stockholders or members and is filed with the SEC. Involuntary, si SEC ang nag-order or si court for causes such as fraud, inactivity, or failure to file reports. Ayan. So, what is the effect of dissolution? The corporation ceases its business operations except for winding up. So, meron pa rin naman silang ginagawa. Mag-wind up nga lang. Ayan. So, corporate existence continues only for 3 years for liquidation purposes. So, nagko-continue sila to exist for 3 years, pero liquidation lang yung ginagawa nila. Ayan. So, corporate liquidation is a process of settling and closing corporate affairs. And after dissolution. So, what are the liquidation activities? So, collect ka ng assets mo, pay all your debts and obligations to the creditors, dispose your remaining assets, and distribute the balance to the stakeholders or members. So, what are the methods? Corporation itself during the 3-year winding up period. by a trustee appointed by the corporation or by a receiver or liquidator designated by court or SEC. Okay, so foreign corporations is the last topic in corporation law based on the 2025 bar syllabus. Okay, lapit na. Ayan, so foreign corporations, the personality to sue and suability. So it's personality to sue. Ano ba ang sinasabi? And so no foreign corporation transacting business in the Philippines without a license. Ayan. Or its successors or assigns shall be permitted to maintain or intervene in any action or suit proceeding in any court or administrative agency of the Philippines. Walang lisensya, walang korte, walang demanda. Ayan. Suability of foreign corporation. So, personality to. So, ikaw naman yung nagdedemanda kasi as a foreign corporation. Pero kung wala kang lisensya, wala kang karapatang magdemanda. Ayan. So, suability naman, ikaw yung demanda. So, pwede yan. Pwede mo i-demanda ang foreign corporation if the foreign corporation does business in the Philippines without a license. It cannot sue before the Philippine courts, pero pwede mo silang kasuhan. If a foreign corporation is not doing business in the Philippines, it needs no license to sue before the Philippine courts or on isolated transactions or on a cause of action entirely independent of the business transaction. Kung si foreign corporation wala namang business sa Pilipinas, hindi niya kailangan ng license para lang magdemanda, no? Provided it is entirely independent of any business transaction. Yan. So, if the foreign corporation, ano ba yan, does business in the Philippines without license, so, does business without a license, a Philippine citizen or entity which has contracted with said corporation may be stopped from challenging the foreign corporation's corporate personality in a suit brought before the Philippine courts. And so if a foreign corporation does business in the Philippines with the required license, it can sue before the Philippine courts on any transaction. Ulitin yung number 3. If a foreign corporation does business, may business, no license, a Philippine citizen or entity which has contracted with such corporation may be stopped from challenging the foreign corporation's corporate personality in a suit brought before the Philippine court. So, hindi mo pwedeng i-question, no? Yung foreign corporate, ayun, we're back, sorry. Okay. So, hindi mo pwedeng questionin ang, yung personality yung suability ng foreign corporation if you contracted with it sa Pilipinas just because wala siyang license. You can be stopped, lalo na kung alam mo na wala siyang license. Okay? So, the doctrine of isolated transactions. So, generally, no foreign corporation transacting business in the Philippines without a license shall be permitted to maintain or intervene in any court action. No lisensya, no demanda. Exception. But such may be sued or proceeded against before Philippine courts or administrative tribunals on any valid cause of action recognized under the Philippine laws. One who has dealt with a corporation of foreign origin as a corporate entity is stopped from to deny the corporate existence in its capacity. Foreign corporation is not doing business in the Philippines. It needs no license to sue before the Philippine courts on an isolated transaction or on a cause of action entirely independent of business transaction. Pareho lang din yan sa diniscuss ko kanina. Okay, so isingit na natin dito, no? Itong, dahil foreign corporations, ang huling topic, i-discuss na rin natin ang Foreign Investments Act. Konti lang naman to. Okay, so, equity investment made by non-Philippine national in the form of foreign exchange and or other assets actually transferred to the Philippines and duly registered with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So we have to know what are those foreign investments doing business in the Philippines versus those not doing business in the Philippines. So a foreign investor is doing business in the Philippines if it is soliciting orders, service contracts, opening offices, whether a liaison office or a branch, and appointing representatives, no? Appointing representatives or distributors domiciled in the Philippines or who in any calendar year stay in the country for a period of totaling 180 days. Sa NIRC to, diba? Yan. So, participating in management, supervision and control of domestic business, firm, entity, or corporation in the Philippines, and any other acts that imply a continuity of commercial dealings or arrangements, and contemplate that the extent uh, to that extent, the performance of acts or works or the exercise of some of the functions normally incident to or is progressive prosecution in commercial gain or the purpose of, basta. In doing business of the Philippines, a foreign corporation is doing business in the Philippines in SAP. Okay? Yun lang yung tinatandaan ko dyan, SAP. Yan. Soliciting, appointing representative, participating in management. Yun. Foreign investment, ano naman yung not doing business in the Philippines? So, kung mere investor lang siya, nag-invest lang, pera lang. And as a shareholder by a foreign entity and a domestic corporation duly registered to do business and or the exercise of rights as such investor, or having a nominee director or officer to represent its interest in such corporation, and appointing a representative or distributor domiciled in the Philippines which transacts business in its own name and for its own account. Yeah. So what is the registration requirement? So generally, without prior approval, a non-Philippine national may do business here in the Philippines or invest in a domestic enterprise up to 100% of its capital upon registration with SEC or with the DTI for single proprietorship, except unless participation of non-Philippine nationals in the enterprise is prohibited or limited to smaller percentage by existing law and under the provisions of this act. Ano yung mga yan? Nationalized activities in negative list. So, nationalized activities, remember natin, ano ba yung nationalized activities na yan? So, hindi pwedeng mag-own ang foreign investor 100%. Yan. Nationalized activities are economic sectors where ownership, control, or participation is limited to Filipino citizens or entities with significant Filipino equity. These restrictions aim to preserve the national interest, ensure public welfare, and promote economic independence. Ano ba yung mga yan? So, partially nationalized activities where up to 40% foreign investment ownership is allowed. So, dapat 60% Filipino. Ano yung mga yan? Public utilities, exploration and utilization of natural bakit naman nun? Ayan. Public utilities, exploration and utilization of natural resources, education, no? Except those established by religious or mission groups. Ayan. Advertising. There's advertising, dapat 70% Filipino ownership na. Ayan. So, negative list. Meron kasi negative list A, negative list B. Pag negative list A, it enumerates the areas of our activities reserved to Philippine nationals by mandate of the Constitution and specific laws. Ayan. So, mass media. So, all forms of mass communication. Television, radio, newspaper. Ayan. Filipinos lang yan. Pwede. Practice of profession, ay Pilipino lang din yan. Tayo mga abogado, mga engineer, mga medisina. Ayan. Para lang yan sa mga Pilipino. Retail trade enterprise. Retail enterprises with less than 25 million capitalization are reserved to Filipinos. Small-scale mining, reserved to Filipinos. Utilization of marine resources, deep-sea fishing vessels, and marine resource exploitation, reserved to Filipinos. Of course, ownership of lands, Pilipino lang ang pwede. Ang lupa ng Pilipinas ay para lang din sa Pilipino, o diba? Negative list B. This shall contain the areas of activities and enterprises regulated pursuant to law. So, foreign equity is limited to industries or activities that may affect public safety, morals, and national security. Okay, sorry. So, this restriction applies to critical infrastructure. So, what are these critical infrastructure? Power distribution, water services, railways, defense-related activities, and those which have implications of public health and morals, such as manufacture and distribution of dangerous drugs, all forms of gambling, nightclubs, bars, beers, and beyond. So, critical infrastructure. Yun. So, that ends corporation law and with Foreign Investments Act. So, this is the first part of the syllabus for the 2025 bar examination. So, after this video, there will be other videos covering other topics under the commercial law that is also based on the syllabus for the 2025 bar examination. So, thank you.